I will give the coaching hat to her as much as she wants, to be quite honest. So, we're going to play around with it a little bit. It'll be fun to, I think you've seen it with the Fever. She's been very active on the sideline when she wasn't playing, so we'll utilise that as well.
Sandy Brondello had some high praise for Caitlin Clark, so much so that other coaches might be raising their eyebrows. You can bet Stephanie White is watching from afar, possibly with a bit of side eye. The Liberty's head coach is now talking about handing Clark the reins, letting her call the shots on the court. Things are heating up fast, but before diving deeper into this brewing coaching storyline, drop a comment. Do you think Stephanie White is low-key irritated by all the attention and accolades Clark is receiving from rival coaches? Wink with a frown.
So lads, every single team in the WNBA wants Caitlin Clark on their team. Except for maybe.
Well, look who's back in the spotlight. Caitlin Clark, once again the center of attention, just maybe not from the people you'd expect. This time, it's Sandy Brondello turning heads with her glowing remarks, and honestly, it feels like a low-key masterclass in how to outshine another coach without breaking a sweat. Brondello, who's coaching Clark in the All-Star game, didn't hold back. Her compliments were so effusive. You'd think she was eyeing Clark for a permanent roster spot, somewhere not in Indiana. Yep, she straight up said she's handing Clark the playbook and letting her call the shots. Meanwhile, back in Indiana, Stephanie White might be watching all this unfold thinking, hang on, isn't that supposed to be my job? Wink with a frown.
Coach, obviously Caitlin Clark out of the game, but she's expressed her desire to help you out. From the coaching perspective, have you gotten anything about maybe her traits as a coach?
Yeah, not yet. No, obviously unfortunate about Caitlin's not into this game, but she's going to still have a great impact on this team. I will give the coaching hat to her as much as she wants, to be quite honest. So, we're going to play around with it a little bit. It'll be fun to, I think you've seen it with the Fever. She's been very active on the sideline when she wasn't playing, so we'll utilise that as well.
Let's take a closer look at what Sandy actually said, because it reveals a lot. Her exact words? I'll let her wear the coaching hat as much as she wants, to be honest. We're going to have some fun experimenting with it. Now, maybe it's just me, but when another coach starts talking about your franchise player like they're already sketching out long-term plans together, that's got to sting. Especially if you've been under the microscope for your own coaching choices all season long.
Sounds of the game with Captain Caitlin Clark.
All right, Gabby, you dribble off. Sabrina's going to come set you this. You're going to skip it right when she sets it. Asia, you're coming to clean her up. We're getting this 4-point shot. Kelsey, where's Kelsey?
I like that.
You're passing it right to Sabrina for the three. I diagrammed this play. I diagrammed the play.
Sandy Brondello is out here treating Caitlin Clark like the basketball savant she is, while back in Indiana, Stephanie White has been raising eyebrows with some puzzling lineup choices, like subbing in injured players during games that were already in the bag. The difference in how each coach sees Clark couldn't be more glaring. The wildest part? Sandy keeps pointing out that Clark will have a major influence on the All-Star game, even if she doesn't touch the court. That's right. She's essentially saying Clark brings more value from the bench than many players do while playing. That kind of acknowledgement is what you'd expect from her own coach, but instead, we're seeing ongoing confusion over injury management and underwhelming strategic decisions. Brondello also made a point to mention how engaged Clark is on the sidelines with the Fever, even when she's not playing. If nothing else, that shows Caitlin's mind is locked in on the games in a way that arguably outshines some of the very people making choices for her team. And it feels like Sandy sees the All-Star weekend as a sneak peek of a potential future. She's letting Caitlin take on leadership, make play calls, and see what it's like to be part of a franchise that actually leans into her basketball IQ. Meanwhile, Stephanie White might be back in Indiana wondering why it never occurred to her to use Clark in that same way. Maybe it's because she's been too busy missing injury updates or second-guessing rotations, and the timing couldn't be more on point. Just as fans and analysts are questioning White's handling of the Fever, Brondello swoops in and gives a textbook example of how to work with generational talent, not just coach around it. She keeps highlighting Clark's leadership and game knowledge, not just her on-court skills. That's coach speak for. She's so sharp. I'm handing her part of my job. Ask yourself, when was the last time Stephanie White said anything like that? Because from where we're standing, it looks a lot like the Liberty are laying the groundwork for a future pitch. And honestly, Caitlin might already be paying attention.
Liberty? The New York Liberty sent their mascot in. The New York Liberty sent their mascot to try recruit Caitlin Clark.
Perfect.
The Liberty have made it crystal clear they've got Caitlin Clark's full attention. Their players have been chummy with her at every event, and now their head coach is basically giving a soft pitch for a future partnership. It's a strategic full-court press, and honestly, it's working. What makes Sandy Brondello's approach so effective is how subtle it is. She's not coming off thirsty or obvious like other teams. Instead, she's simply creating an environment where Clark is treated like the high IQ, elite-level talent she is. No drama, no confusion, just genuine respect for her basketball mind. Now compare that to the chaos in Indiana. While Stephanie White has been scrambling to explain injury situations she seemingly didn't even know about and making head-scratching calls on the court, Brondello is out here publicly praising Clark like she's the sharpest thinker in the arena, which, let's face it, she probably is. Caitlin's been dominating the game for years, and her basketball instincts are next level. Any coach with a clue would be tapping into that, not just handing her the ball, but handing her influence. Sandy understands that. Stephanie? Not so much. And the kicker? Brondello's reportedly planning to mic Caitlin up during the All-Star game and let her take on coaching duties. That's not just entertainment, it's a masterstroke. It puts Clark's leadership and court vision on full display for fans and front offices alike. Meanwhile, the Fever are out here underutilizing the most basketball-savvy rookie in recent memory. You can't help but wonder how Stephanie White feels watching all this unfold. Brondello has the resume, the rings, and the trust of her players, and she's giving Clark the respect of a seasoned vet. Compare that to White, who's been battling through injury fiascos and rotational misfires. And it's not just Brondello. The Liberty players are clearly all in on Clark too. Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart have both shown her major love. The entire organization is treating her like basketball royalty, and Caitlin's smart enough to notice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're good friends. Like, I've been able to talk to her a lot kind of through this, process. And honestly, I've kind of went through something similar in my career. I mean, my first year I didn't play due to injury. And then second year I had like 3 to 4 soft tissue injuries that I was dealing with. And it's kind of, you look back and it's a blessing in disguise because you're able to just learn and grow and, understand it's all part of your journey. And you just got to, continue to figure out what you need in a pro career. And so, just trying to be that kind of soundboard for her and that voice, having gone through something kind of similar and, knowing obviously it's really unfortunate that we don't have her, but, she means a lot more to the game than just showing up and playing. And I think you're able to see that with just the excitement in Indy right now.
Now contrast that with how she's been treated by parts of her own team and organization, and the difference is night and day. Then there's Sandy's comment about how she's never been involved in a player trade, but she's excited about this so-called coaching trade. Sure, she said it with a laugh, but there's something behind that joke. You can tell she's already imagining what it might be like to have Caitlin Clark as a permanent part of her roster.
Really care about individual play.
And I got traded, yes. My son hit me up after he goes, I've created history. This is awesome. I got traded as a coach. But look, I get to coach with Sabrina. I'm on Caitlin Clark's in Indianapolis. I mean, what a great show. So we'll go out there.
The Liberty are quietly positioning themselves as a prime landing spot if Caitlin Clark ever becomes available. They've got it all: top-tier talent, elite coaching, organizational stability, and one of the league's biggest markets. In many ways, they represent exactly what the Fever aspire to be. And the way Sandy Brondello has navigated this all-star coaching opportunity only adds more fuel to that comparison. What's likely even harder for Stephanie White to watch is how Brondello is being celebrated, not just for coaching Clark, but for how she's doing it. She's getting praise for recognizing Clark's basketball mind and giving her a voice in decision-making. Meanwhile, White is catching heat for not fully tapping into Caitlin's leadership potential. Media coverage has only amplified the contrast. Sandy's remarks are being praised as smart, forward-thinking, and collaborative. People are buzzing about how refreshing it is to see a coach empower a young star and let her shine in a new role. Compare that to the headlines surrounding Stephanie White lately: injury miscommunication, game-time decisions under scrutiny, and questions about how the Fever are managing their roster. And then there's the fact that Clark got to draft her own all-star team, choosing players she trusts and respects, which shows just how strong her relationships are across the league. That's not just good PR, it's evidence of her maturity, leadership, and connection with the broader WNBA community. She surrounds herself with winners, and the energy around her team reflects that. Let's be real, Caitlin looks more fired up to help coach the All-Star game than she is during some recent Fever matchups. That doesn't go unnoticed. When your franchise player seems more energized by a temporary coaching role under another team's staff than by playing under yours, that's a red flag. Sandy's handling of this situation has been next level. She's uplifting Caitlin, making the event enjoyable and collaborative, and whether intentionally or not, highlighting everything Indiana's coaching staff isn't doing. It's a textbook example of how to respect and develop generational talent, and it's not just Brondello. The entire Liberty organization has been slowly but steadily courting Caitlin through social media, warm player interactions, and now this coaching showcase. They're not begging, they're showing. They're saying, this is what it looks like when you're part of a team that knows what it's doing. Every time Sandy praises Caitlin's leadership or basketball brain, it indirectly underlines how underused she's been in Indiana. She doesn't have to criticize Stephanie White. She just has to demonstrate what a competent, collaborative coaching approach looks like. And with all the internal issues the Fever have been facing, from injury management to team chemistry, the contrast couldn't be clearer. Brondello's enthusiasm to coach Caitlin, even in a limited role, speaks volumes. Ask yourself, when was the last time we saw that kind of visible excitement from Stephanie White? At the end of the day, the Liberty are putting on a masterclass, not just in coaching, but in how to build a winning culture. And Caitlin Clark? She's taking notes.